Hello and welcome to Console Shock Retro and Mon Gaming Chat with me, Trev, and as always, Stu. How's it going, Stu?
Yeah, it's good, Trev. It's good. Everything's good in the hood.
Slight disconcerting pause there from you. Like there was
I've got my work phone next to me, and something just appeared on my work phone. I was like, oh God, what's that?
Oh dear.
And so I'm actually going to turn my work phone around. You can see the screen. I can't.
There was some shader compilation stuff happening there.
There was a little bit of. Do you know what? I hate shader compilation stutters.
Not a big fan of them. Yeah, not a big fan. You don't really have an issue with them on SteamOS though, because it downloads the shaders before you play the game, so it doesn't have to compile them, do a huge compilation step.
Exactly, because. Well, anyway, I don't like shader compilation stutters for the same reason that everyone doesn't like shader compilation stutters.
Well, you've got you game on Windows, so you get there's no kind of facility to mitigate that. You just get the giant loading of shaders before the game starts, and then stuttering when you're walking through whatever areas you're walking through in your game.
Well, that's it, and the time. Whenever it's so frustrating because I'll turn my computer on and I go, okay, I want to play a bit of Call of Duty, and then fucking hell, I've got to do a 5 gig download or whatever. So I'll set my computer doing that. I'll go do something else, and then when it all installs and is updated, you go and then play it, and then it just does it's there for another half an hour doing a shader compilations. Loading or whatever it
compiling
is.
Shaders,
compiling, and I'm like, well, can't I just play the game without shade? Do I really need that in there?
Or even the DIRs, no shade or no DIRs. Can we just have them not included? Still work, won't it?
Well, I don't know. I presume it's needed.
I mean, SimCity used to retriculate splines. When you were loading something, is that still a thing? Do games have to retriculate the splines still?
And
retriculating splines.
And what's it with Football Manager having to load a database and create a database?
What is it? Microsoft, whatever that thing was called, Access. What was it? Microsoft Access. If that's even the database software anymore, I don't even know.
Anyway, in 2025, these things should not happen.
Well, like I said, there's SteamOS, which we're going to get into in a lot more detail, has really good systems to help with that, and kind of in line with how consoles handle it. But yeah, I mean, what have you been up to, sort of gaming wise, Stu?
Gaming wise, good question. Good question. I've been playing the new Gears of War Reloaded, and you turn it on And do you know what? It's really weird with all these games when you see them side by side, they look absolutely. Wow! Look how much better it looks. Oh, look at the details. Look at the textures. It looks phenomenal. And then as soon as you start playing it, it's this looks just as I remember it, just as the 360 version or just as the Xbox One version. And in my mind, I'm running around. And it's identical. It's absolutely identical. You do all the same things. Everything feels the same. And obviously, when they're next to each other, they look clearly different. But this just looks like I'm just playing and having the same experience I had. 15 years ago when the original Gears of War came out, or not long, or even longer than that. So that's and I don't know. It's quite weird. And when sort of do you feel that games when they make these sort of remade versions and you load it in and you go, actually, this looks just like you must notice differences for the first minute, and then you're like. It just feels like playing the old game.
Well, it depends on how dramatic the difference is. I mean, something like Oblivion Remastered it looks totally different. It's the same areas and the same structures are there and everything, but the lighting is different, how everything colours are different. The controls they've done sort of quality of life stuff to make the controls a bit better and the menus a bit better. So that's a much more dramatic difference going from the original 2006 Oblivion on the PS3 and the Xbox and the PC to the remastered game. And the character models are much better and denser and detailed, and the lip syncing's better, and they don't have potato faces and all those sort of meme stuff that we have from Oblivion over the last 20 years nearly. My experience of Gears of War, I didn't play it originally. I didn't have a 360 when the first one came out. Well, I did have a 360. I had two of them fail on me. Two of them red ringed of death on me. And I didn't. And then I kind of gave up on that gen a little bit, and I sort of carried on playing. I think I still had my original Xbox on my GameCube. I just kept playing them. And I got a PS3 in 2007, so that was the sort of console that I, stuck my flag on for the subsequent few years after that. So there's obviously no Gears of War, but then I played. When I heavily got into PC gaming, I thought, I'll give Gears of War a go. There's a PC version. And so I played the original quite a few years ago now as well, actually. But I played the original PC version, which was a big, like when they were trying to push games for Windows Live.
Oh, I hate that.
Kind of like Xbox Live for the PC. Yeah, we have touched upon it a few times before. It's a real ball ache when you want to try and get those original games for Windows Live games running on modern stuff, because you have to sort of strip out all of the games for Windows Live things that kind of would like help the game kind of boot up and everything. There are ways of doing it. You can that people have modded the games, and there's exe files that get rid of the games for Windows Live components for games. But yeah, Gears of War was a big one for that. But it was still partially working games for Windows Live when I sort of installed the game and played it about 7-8 years ago. And I played through it, and it was the PC version was a pretty decent version. It had some extra. I think it had an extra few stages. You could run it at 60 frames a second. Obviously, I was running it on something like a GTX sort of 980, I think, at that point, which is a pretty decent graphics card that would have been a lot more advanced than what the game would have originally been, designed to run on. So it ran really well, and using an Xbox 360 controller on my PC, yeah, it was pretty good.
That's the point.
Cover-based shooters, so yeah,
exactly. So this time playing it, obviously, I did it originally on the 360, then on the Xbox One X maybe, and now I'm playing it on the PC. But the two previous times I played it with the controller, and I thought that was a great experience. So I thought, well, actually, I'll try doing a sort of third-person cover-based shooter with mouse and keyboard, and actually it works really well, and I'm actually sort of really enjoying that, actually, sort of playing cool. it with sort of a mouse and keyboard, and I sort of find that probably 70-80% of my PC gaming is certainly with a mouse and keyboard, and I think it just sort of plays a lot better and sort of things like that. But then it was almost, I think for the first act of Gears of War, it felt a little bit too easy. You would just click on their head, shoot them, and you almost feel like you got a bit too much control over it.
Yeah. It's a funny one because it's something that I would be interested in playing, but I think I would have rather they released, because we haven't got 2 and 3 and Judgment on the PC, and never have been. They didn't release 2 when 2 came out originally. They didn't make a PC version. I would rather it did we've had like a Nathan Drake collection. There's been Tomb Raider collections. There's been Master Chief collection. If they did like a Marcus Phoenix collection, I guess that's the obvious name to give it, and have 1, 2, and 3, and maybe Judgment. I
don't think Judgment.
I would have rather had that.
That was Judgment was a slightly different. It was the same but slightly different. But having the trilogy, and hopefully they'll do that now as like remake, 1, 2, and 3, and then sort of combine them all in like a Master Chief collection, so you can. There's still a lot of people that like the online, and if you can play from I'll play as a character from, they're obviously the same characters, but the same outfit from Gears of War 1 and Gears of War 3, or some of the weapons in Gears of War 3 and Gears of War 1. And then
we appreciate it. Probably would be you wouldn't be able to fully remaster the 3 games if you were doing all 3, but just lightly remaster them or get them to work on a modern on like a PC. I think I would have rather have had that than just the first game, which has already had a remaster. That's a few years ago now. But
that's the point, isn't it? It's because when I heard about it, I was like, oh. It's just the first one again. Well, I did like the first one, but it felt like I played it through again a few years ago, and I'm playing it through now, and I'm enjoying it. But I feel like it's I'm at this point now when where the guy runs at you and you've got to dodge out the way and he goes through the wall. Then I'm at the bit with the lights, and I feel like I've done it all, and I think number 2 and number 3 were a lot more, sort of a slightly bigger scale, and I just think that would have been sort of a better introduction. But I think they're leading on to. There's going to be sort of the new what's it called, Gears 6, the 6th game in the series. So I think they're getting the idea is to get PS5 gamers and everyone hyped about the 6th game by re-releasing the first game.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, I think the remaster was really just to get the game out on PS5. That was the main reason. It was just a kind of a byproduct of that as well. We obviously might as well. We're going to try and convert it to work on on the PlayStation. We might as well just the work we've done on that. We might as well just give it available to everyone. And of course, there are people that missed the first remaster like 10 years ago now, which is insane to think it was that long ago. So they'll obviously be interested in just getting this one instead. Although maybe if you've got older hardware, certainly on the PC side of things, maybe the older one would run better. Though apparently, it runs on the Steam Deck really well, like over 60 frames a second.
Oh, does it?
Gears of War,
this the new one,
the new one. I mean, I was actually tempted not long after I got the Steam Deck, like 3 or 4 years ago, to try and get that Gears PC version of Gears of War running on it. The games for Windows Live, I think 2007 was when it came out. It came out a little bit after the original Xbox release, but it would have been so much. So I think it was a bit of a faff. So I was like, oh, you kind of fell by the wayside, but. I'm not sure I want to spend 60 quid on it. I mean, if I was gagging to play it again, I've got the original Xbox 360 version. I could just play that. I don't think I want to, when it's £10 in a sale, I think I'll potentially buy it then, in a couple of years or something, or maybe even less. Sometimes games drop off in price even quicker. But I mean, it's funny because I've done a similar thing lately. I've got... I played through Last of Us Part 1, which was a game that I completed originally on. I played the first that's another one that's had two remasters.
Oh, yeah, exactly, isn't it?
Yeah, it was on the PS3. Never played it on the PS3, and then I got it. I got it on the PS4. I got my PS4 on launch when that came out in end of 2013, and I think Last of Us Remastered. Came out like just a few months after that, because the rationale being, most people probably had an Xbox 360 that gen, so they never played Last of Us on the PS3. So we should just do a remaster and stick it on the PS4, and that was pretty good. It was like 60 frames a second, and it was enhanced over the PS3 version. So but that was about 10 years ago now. More than 2014. Yeah, more than 10 years ago. And it was on PS Plus, which I'm subscribed to at the moment. So I thought, solid, I'll give it a go. And I quite enjoyed it. It's quite quick to get. I mean, I remembered most of what to do in it. So I was able to kind of, I didn't really have to get too stressed out, wondering, what I need to do, or dealing with bad guys that, take a bit of thought to them. I kind of remembered how to do all that stuff. And it was pretty good. The quality of life stuff. I mean, there's funny things that I feel guilty about turning on, but there's when you go around and you sort of pick up the objects that are around. Obviously, normally you have to go up, press X, pick that one up, walk around to this other one, press X, pick that one up. There's there's a quality, there's sort of I don't know if it's considered accessibility, but there's an option you can flick on where you just need to walk near the objects and you'll just automatically pick them up. You haven't got to press a button.
Trevor, absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that. Having to go,
yeah,
and that's something actually I'm going to look on the settings later for Gears of War. But do you know what really pisses me off? And when you go up to something, you have to press E or whatever on the keyboard to pick it up, and there's a whole animation of your man going down, picking it up. Oh yeah, more bullets, whatever. Just let me walk over it. You don't have to do. You don't have to do this whole animation of me sort of picking up bullets like it's the, you found the Ark of the Covenant or something.
I guess they kind of think, it's more immersive if they actually have to press a button to do it, but it's like it's really redundant. I mean, in Doom, I didn't have to go and press X or A or fire to pick up an ammo crate. Or
you run over it, isn't it? Or otherwise, it's just then going to be the run round picking up things game. And
exactly.
You don't really want that. You want something that's actually it's fun. It's you go on to another point. Actually, brought about Doom, but I completed Doom: The Dark Ages a few weeks ago. I finished that, and I absolutely really enjoyed it. But I'm not. I'm proud enough to say that I completed, or not proud. Not what the quite term is, but I had to put it on sort of the easier mode to get through it. And
what are you going to tell your mum when she asks you what difficulty mode you put it on?
Well, I'll just have to tell her, won't I?
Yeah, she's not going to be happy with you. The internet's not going to be happy with you.
No, but for the length of the game, and actually, I thought, that was good. Or I would have been, struggling on level after level after level, and that was
talk about it all the time.
Yeah, and I just I was okay with that. That's fine. That's fine.
I'm totally with you. I mean, I've just started playing Jedi Survivor, the most recent kind of in that Star Wars Jedi series, because it's listed as unsupported on the Steam Deck, but I bought it in a sale and I thought, well, maybe at some point it'll get supported, or I'll get another device that it'll work on. That's the beauty of PC gaming, right? You buy the game knowing that it'll get better, it'll play better as time goes on, and your hardware gets better. I thought, I'll give it a go. Maybe it'll work, and I've downloaded it, and it runs fine. I mean, to be honest, it's around 30 frames a second. It hovers with everything set to low, but that's perfectly fine for this sort of game. For me, as long as it stays above 30 most of the time. There was one area where it was really struggling around, the low to mid 20s. There was about a solid hour of the game actually, which is a little bit painful, but not outright broken or completely, killed the game. And I got past that area, and it went back up to, upper 30s, 40s again. So a bit of a weird one. It does maybe Valve, when they tested it, they saw there was an area that it struggled with, and they thought, people might not like that, so they put it on unsupported. But it works fine. But that I've whacked that on easy, because there's quite a complex combat system that's very Dark Souls like. I'm like, I don't want to spend 2 hours battling a boss when I could have got through 3 more objectives, in that time. And you're supposed to be a super powerful Jedi, and the Star Wars films, Luke Skywalker didn't have to do constant rolling and parrying to be able to beat Darth Vader or something. And real life has those challenges already that you can't dial down the difficulty on. So and I don't really get any personal. I don't feel like I've achieved a great thing in my life if I complete a game or beat a really difficult boss. Yeah, you might get for a few seconds. You'll get a bit like, you caught it that quite hard bit, but I'm not going to go and put that on my LinkedIn. And it's like no one's going to. So it doesn't get me any social credit or social cachet, apart from maybe some dude bros on Reddit, perhaps. I'm already like 6 or 7 hours into it. It's I'm totally with you on that, and even Dead Space Remake. Which I've also been playing. I've kind of dipped in and out of it, but I've kind of really settled into it now. Now I've kind of bunged that on too easy. I mean, originally I think I played the original on medium, and I died like a freaking million times. But I just powered through at that point. But now I'm like getting too old for this shit. So I'm quite happy to nudge down. on the
actually,
difficulty.
Trevor, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and find your level with games, and that's certainly sort of what I do, and otherwise it's just going to be an absolutely, I don't know, a chore to play them. And if you find it too easy or you want more of a challenge, then knock it up a little bit, and you're in control of that. But actually, what I like about loads of games now is they don't have like easy, medium, and hard. There'll be loads of sort of different settings. So you might go,
there's like story, and then easy might be above story.
No. I think they do it a lot more than that. They'll have number of. There'll be loads of different options. So, and what is the speed of the enemy? Is the speed of the enemy fast, or do you want to make it slower, or do you want to make them more enemies or less enemies? So you can actually go through it and go, well, actually. The difficulty I'm having in the game is that their health is too high. I still want a challenge. I still want lots of things to hit, but actually I want their health to be lower. So you can really sort of dial in on what you're trying to, I guess, get out of the game. And it's things like that I would I sort of quite enjoy, when there's a little bit more. Rather than just, easy, medium, or hard, or whatever, or story mode, or legendary mode, or, hardcore mode, actually have a little bit more. You can dial into what your exact difficulty.
Yeah, there's a similar thing I do when I play like I wasn't playing for a while. When I play the NBA games, I always make it super easy, but like the the chance of scoring a 2-pointer up to like 90%. Normally it's on like 60 or something, but to me that should be the easiest thing to do in basketball is to score a 2-pointer, unless you do it from the way past the halfway line or something stupid. If you just
that'd be a 3-pointer.
Well, yeah, of course it would be, but it's like that should be a difficult thing to do in the game. It should be like NBA Jam, So I put that up to 90, and then it's kind of more. You're more managing the time that you've got the ball and things like that, as opposed to worrying about, when have I got exactly time, pressing B and then letting go, to get that perfect, thing. So, it is great when they have those. They are kind of quality of life things that let you dial in, that sort of stuff. I'm absolutely with you on that. But I think that'll lead us, not directly really, but there have been some leaks recently talking about PC gaming. Obviously, I've talked about the Steam Deck loads. It's probably the favourite thing that I game on at the moment. It has its limitations, of course. Steam OS is amazing, and it's perfect for the handheld form factor. You obviously do miss out on some of the other things that you can do on Windows. Like there are games that have a certain requirement that you can only get in Windows. I mean, a big one is anti-cheat software, anti-cheat systems that games like Call of Duty and even like a lot of EA games, even FIFA, actually need to have installed for you to be able to play that game, even if it's just in single player. None of that stuff works in Steam OS. Hopefully it will at some point, but right now you're kind of locked out. Game Pass doesn't really have any kind of a home on Steam Deck. There's no way just to access that store, the sort of Xbox, Microsoft store, through Steam OS to be able to access those games that you get on Game Pass. That's kind of Windows only. Again, hopefully that'll change in the future. It has its limitations. Obviously, the handheld itself struggles, with AAA games, modern ones. I did just mention that I've been playing Jedi Survivor on it, which it was a PS5, Xbox Series game only. Did actually release a PS4 and Xbox One version not that long ago, but it was developed for those current gen consoles first. And it runs, but you've got to dial everything down, and there'll be areas of the game where it will drop below 30 frames a second. And that's the same with another one that I play at, Oblivion Remastered. When you're in the open world areas, it struggles to maintain 25 to 30 frames. And it's a bit juddery and a bit annoying. I mean, to me, it doesn't bother me too much because it's the open world areas. It's not really a big, twitchy, fast-paced, hair trigger game. And when you're in the bits where you have to kind of complete a mission almost, that's kind of normally inside a building or inside a local area. It kind of stabilizes at 30 there. So you can live with it. But yeah, the point is it struggles. You're not going to be hitting 60 frames a second on modern games, AAA games. And there are people that build, there's obviously Bazite, which is almost like a version of SteamOS pulled away from Valve, and it's just a community of Linux developers have basically taken SteamOS and plugged it into another Linux distribution and turned it into a carbon copy of SteamOS, and that's Bazite, and you can install that on anything. So a lot of people make desktop PCs that run Bazite, and you basically got yourself a giant Steam Deck that you connect to your TV, and obviously you can bung, I think mainly you kind of use AMD graphics cards, but put a super powerful AMD graphics card and you've basically got yourself a Steam Deck Pro. But now there's been some leaks that Valve have been working on some kind of Steam console. The leaks sort of show that probably in the testing environments they've been using Windows 11 on it as the OS. It's like a spec sheet that's been leaked. I think that's just because of the testing that they're doing. I'm sure they are going to use this. Well, there's no doubt this thing will run SteamOS. But in terms of a Steam console, there is actually previous to it, they did have the Steam machines in the mid-10s, which weren't successful. But this was before the Steam Deck and before, really before Proton, which has been the key to the success of the Steam Deck, being able to run those Windows games in SteamOS, tens of thousands of them. So they didn't do too well. So they have been there before, but then obviously we got to, the Steam Deck, which has been a big success and really put SteamOS at the forefront of PC gaming. But I think people would like to have. Some people just aren't interested in a handheld. They're like, no, I don't game on handhelds. I play on a desktop. That I sit at a monitor and use a keyboard and mouse. Or there might be people who are like, well, I like the idea of a Steam Deck, but I prefer to have it on my big TV. That sort of 10-foot gaming paradigm. You can controller it in your hand. I'd like the idea of PC gaming, but it doesn't really lend itself to that with Windows, with the box connected to your TV and you being so far away. You need a keyboard and a mouse. So what are your initial thoughts on, the idea of a Steam console? Yeah,
I mean, for me, it's I've said it before on here that, they're absolutely just leaving money on the table. And what I mean by that is that I think people would absolutely sort of snap it up because, it's got everything. It's, hopefully a small form factor, and then it can sit under your TV and it's got access to all of the Steam, or not all of all the one that the Steam Deck have, and for me, I don't know, I just think it's an absolutely brilliant idea, and and so many companies have really already done it. There's what's the Minis forum, there's loads of little. I think Nook, NUC, console or computers, and then quite often they're reviewed. I think Metal Jesus Rocks has reviewed some, and then that's been really designed. You can play older games on them, and it runs in the Windows environment. But this actually, and hopefully it will come out in the Steam environment, because if you get your Steam Deck and sort of plug it into the TV, it's already there. It already does it, and and the Steam Deck is already an absolutely amazing, value proposition. There's thousands of games that you can play on it. It's all sort of set up, raring to go. Very, you talked about a great user interface. You can plug it into your TV, have a wireless controller, and there you go. But if you now go with, when did the Steam Deck come out? Like 3 years ago now?
2022.
So now with 2025 or 2026 technology, it's powered, so it doesn't have to worry about, okay, we've only got 15 watts of power. This could have 100 watts of power. It could have a great big power brick. It could have more than that. Yeah. And then it could, it would be such a good sort of little machine to get going and for people and there's been a lot of talk at the moment about the Switch 2, and people are saying, the Switch 2 is losing a bit of steam, for want of a better word, because it's coming out, and Donkey Kong came out for it, and they've had a few other games, but everyone's like, when's the next big Nintendo game coming out? 3-4 months away. Could that be Metroid? Could it be something else? I'm not quite sure. But with the Steam Deck, there's no worry, or the Steam Box, or whatever they're going to call it. There's no worry that it'll come out, and what games are going to come out for it. Don't worry about that. It's already got thousands of games, and every week, hundreds more are made Steam Deck compatible. So if you want to play,
it doesn't live and die. It doesn't live and die by the exclusives that it needs to pump out. It's just
exactly. Yeah. People are not going to go, I might get a Steam box if Half-Life 3 would have come out for it, and then go, well, actually, there's thousands of games, and that's the sort of the pertinent point about it. And if they just get their branding and their value proposition out there, and it's the right price, people go, okay, well, yeah, I'll get this. I won't get an Xbox. I won't get a PS5. I'll get this, and I've already got loads of games for it via my Steam account, and So I'm quite for it, Trev. I like it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, the Steam Deck, is a decent docked experience. It's not really one of the main sort of things you potentially would buy it for. But I do quite often dock my Steam Deck into. I've got a third party dock that I got off Amazon that works really well. You do unlock some extra, whatever resolution the display can do. It can, of course, do up to 4K, the Steam Deck. You're not going to be running AAA games aren't going to look brilliant. The ones that do kind of run to a playable level, like what I've already mentioned. Because, on the smaller screen with lower resolution, they obviously match up a lot better to that built-in display. But a TV, when I've got a 4K TV in my living room, so something like Jedi Survivor, where the Steam Deck is just about able to get it, 1280 by 800, and even then, you still need to do a little bit of upscaling to get it to sort of hit 30 frames a second. So internally, it's probably rendering it at a much lower resolution. So you're going to have the upscaling artifacts are going to be even more prominent on a big screen. You can do it, nothing to stop you doing it. It just won't look anywhere near as good as playing the same game on like a PS5 or a much higher spec PC. Playing like older gen games, which you can jack up the resolution on, and emulators, it's great for that. The Steam Deck when it's docked, so there you haven't got too much of a problem. PS4 era and before, but yeah,
I think it's got to come out, and if you're just buying it to play, the Darkness 2 or the original, Dead Space or something, well, I wouldn't be that excited about that. That'd be okay. That'd be quite a good thing to have.
I agree.
But you want to be able to play, the latest games at least 1080p, at least 60 frames per second.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
For that to be priced around the £300 to £400 mark, and that would, if it hits, in my opinion, those points, it will be an absolute great sort of, I keep on saying value proposition, but that'd be a great sort of something I'd be interested in buying. And then you've also got to think about the world of streaming as well. Like, you can get this set up under your TV, and then you can stream from your PC in another room. You can get onto any of this sort of the streaming services, such as I hope I'm right, but also Xbox Cloud or all the streaming services as well. So you can use it as that. Hopefully, quite sort of seamless and. And actually,
you can do Xbox Cloud gaming on Steam OS. It's done via a browser, but I've set it up on mine and it works pretty well. And the the NVIDIA cloud service as well. There's a dedicated app for that for Steam OS. So yeah, you're covered by those two. A little bit of tinkering, but you are covered by it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I mean, looking at the specs that got leaked, is sort of called, I think Fremont is the name of the sort of code name that Valve have been using for it. The big factor that a lot of people will be interested in is the graphics performance that you can potentially get with what we could see in the leak. And apparently this, whatever it is, a prototype that they've been making that got leaked, it's got an RX 7600 in it. That's people that are more familiar with NVIDIA stuff. That's about what an RTX 4060 is, which is, I would say, a little step up from a PS5. Maybe more like about the same as a PS5. I think a 4060 is more of a 1080p gaming, and then maybe you're going to upscale from there to 4K. I do think if Valve are going to release a console, a Steam OS console, Steam Deck Pro, whatever they'll call it, Steam Station, it would need to at least be as good as a PS5. I mean, to be honest, probably a bit more. I don't know, for you, probably PS5 Pro might be viable at a decent price point, but I mean, the PS5 is basically 5 years old, so I don't think we should be looking as that being a technological high point to aim for. That should be the baseline, really. I know the handhelds are the Steam Deck is a step below in the current gen, really. As is kind of the Switch 2, though they can they've got enough modern technology in there, they can just skirt that Series S kind of level. But yeah, I think it definitely needs to be for it to be compelling to anybody. It needs to be at least as powerful as a PS5, so you can run those AAA games at sort of resolutions and frame rates that would outdo a base PS5. And I think it would need to be in terms of price as well. The Steam that they got to a really good price point. I mean, you're looking at £300-400 will get you a Steam Deck. You just have to pick how much storage you want. But obviously, for PC gaming, it's a pretty good entry level point, isn't it? Versus £800-900 putting together your own gaming PC. But I don't know if they're making. I mean, this is talking about a discrete GPU, like a separate graphics card. It's not an APU with everything all on one motherboard, like the Steam Deck is, and handhelds are, and the consoles are. So they're also, it's a motherboard with a CPU or the GPU plugged into it. I don't know if that's something that they're going to get a deal from AMD. I think maybe they probably are.
Yeah, I think it's almost got to be a little bit down the old how sort of PlayStation and Xbox sort of traditionally worked, is that if they've got to work out that, okay, well, let's sell this for £400, it might cost us £500 to make, but then you're basically buying a Steam user for life, not for life. Yeah. So you might think, well, actually, yeah. So
the subsidies are coming from the games they're going to buy on Steam.
Because you've got to think let's look at the maths of it. So if they sell it for $400, it costs them $500 to produce it, to get it to market, $500. So they lose £100 for every game. Like if they sell a £50 game, that's a 30% commission they earn for every game that's sold on Steam. So if someone spends £100 a year on games, that's $33 or pounds they're going to get back. So after 3 years, they would then get that back. Plus, chances are some people might spend £1,000 on gaming games every year, and they might buy all the skins on Counter-Strike, or they might do this, they might do that. Yeah. So exactly, you've really got to think about, well, actually, what the they're generating more customers, they're generating more sales. So actually, I think they can price it sort of very competitively and to get it out there. So and you're still buying games through the Steam sort of ecosphere or whatever. You go on there and there's so many great deals. And then sometimes actually I do think that, oh God, I don't like buying a new game off Steam because it might be $59.99, or you can buy it on a disc for the PlayStation. It might be $59.99, but you can potentially trade it in or sell it. But the sales on Steam are genuinely really pretty good, and
they're better than what the PlayStation Store and Xbox Store.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I regularly I check it sort of each and every day really to sort of see. Oh, hold on, what's new on there? Is there anything? I'm looking at it now. What are the sort of the featured sales today that I might want to sort of pick up? And I'm looking there. Kingdom Come Deliverance, £5, 29. Stray, Game of the Cat, 14.39. There's loads of things on there.
Yeah, I mean, I got Dead Space Remake for about £15, and I think it's still on a PS5 if you go. I mean, I'm sure you probably could get it cheaper on the physical copies. Always tend to be a lot cheaper than the digital ones, but okay, it's £15 on PS5 as well. Used to be 70. I don't know. Yeah. It's an offer that's ending though. It's an offer that's ending on the 10th of September, so it'll pop back up to £70. I don't know if it's going to remain at 15 on Steam. So, well done to Sony there. That's a pretty good discount. But yeah, the point you're making is like the guys that make other kind of PC gaming hardware, especially the all-in-one stuff like your gaming laptops and like the ROG Ally and all that stuff. They don't have a store that they maintain, and they're going to get those subsidies from people buying their games to support and making their hardware cheaper, whereas Steam do. But I think they would really need, if they wanted to sort of appeal to a mass market, I think they are with the Steam Deck. I mean, you can't buy one in a shop. That's one thing that kind of like Asus has over it, and a Lenovo. I think I'm pretty sure you can walk into Currys and get a ROG Ally and get a Lego. But weirdly, Steam just haven't really wanted to try and do that yet, and they really should, because I think it would absolutely make a killing if it sat next to a Lego and a ROG Ally, and it's like £100 cheaper. Plus, depending on which model you get, I think a lot of people potentially go down that route if they see it in a shop. But yeah, I think a Steam station would probably need to be about £500 to £600. If you're getting something that's a notch above a base PS5, I think that's pretty good. And for a gaming PC, to be honest, the prices aren't great these days. Like, we did a whole PC gaming value proposition, and you're not really getting, obviously, we know we just talked about the games are super cheap and things like that, but a really good absolute PS5 smashing graphics card is going to cost more than a PS5. So, and then you got to cobble the other bits together as well. So you could easily spend $1,000 getting something that's has more performance, and maybe not that much more than a PS5 Pro, really. And you're still going to save money if you buy a PS5 Pro. You're just locking yourself into Sony. So if Steam can hit that sweet spot, £500, £600. I mean, obviously, it'd be great if it could be cheaper than that. But I think realistically, if they want something that's going to be a notch above the current gen, I think it will probably end up at about that price point. And yeah, I mean, we talked about the Steam store. Obviously, it kind of goes hand in hand, of course, with Steam OS, and we know Steam OS works great on big screens. It already is kind of it's already ready for that. I don't think they need to do anything to enhance that. The Steam Deck docked. Using it docked is pretty good, and people use Bazzite on big screen displays already on their builds. But yeah, I think there's other there is some tinkering you can do to get GOG on there, and Epic Game Store and the other storefronts. So you're not locking yourself out from those necessarily either. Bit of a ball ache to get them running. I mean, I've got Lutris on my Steam Deck, which allows you to access Ubisoft and Ubisoft Connect and GOG. I think it does EA Play as well. A bit clunky and a bit annoying. Maybe they could work to make that a bit easier, although, how motivated would they be to let people access the other stores where they're not going to get the money? But I guess you bought their hardware, so maybe they'll, you know, that they're okay with it if you're doing it through that way. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll be. They really should have kind of be like Apple, really, and have an entire suite of consoles. Really, you know, I don't think they should just come out with one Steam station. Steam Deck, we got sort of 3 different models, didn't we? We got a low end, a middle end, and a high end. I think they should do that actually, with the console.
You've hit the nail on the head, and imagine if they came out with one, and did. It's like what the Xbox have done with the ROG Ally Xbox X or whatever it is, you know, the new thing. Now, for me, it's like, well, actually, imagine if you came out with a Steam, you know, a Steam 360 or whatever it's called, and this was actually, this is the entry level one, because lots of people on
Gabe Station. It's the Gabe Station.
The Gabe Station, yeah. I thought you said Babe Station. Now, a lot of people, they actually want one to do, okay, I want to play Counter-Strike. I want to play, what was it called? All the, you know, the casual games, the comfort, the cozy games. That's what they want. They want access to them. They want to just sit there and, you know, feed their farm and do this and, you know, play a few puzzle games on there. They're not fussed about, you know, hyper good frame rates or anything like that. So actually have that one around the 299 mark or whatever. Then have one at 399.
You can almost call it like a Series S, like a Series S equivalent would be the low end. Yeah.
And then you can still play loads of the older games on there, and then you can get like the top one. So if you want to play, you know, the latest Call of Duty, the you know, Gears of War Reloaded. If like you want to play,
and like
then you've got that, and
maybe that would be about £1,000, but people would be happy to pay that if there's, you know, that level. Yeah, you'd have like a Series S tier one that maybe they could do that for 300-400 quid. A PS5 base PS5, or maybe a close between a PS5 and a Pro grade. That would be the 500-600 box. And then you'd have the absolute 4K beast, which would probably be about £1,000. I don't think they should come out with one. I think they should really try and cater to those different levels, as they've done with the Steam Deck. And I think that's been successful. And I guess they could just get a deal with AMD to get, you know, the higher level graphics card will go in the bigger one, the mid-tier one will be in the middle one, the low tier will be in the lower one. And or maybe, I don't know, maybe they could just break out. Kind of like we got the PS TV, which was basically the motherboard of a Vita stuffed into a micro console that connects to the TV. You could potentially take that motherboard out of the Steam Deck, put it in a really tiny box. Obviously, it doesn't need to worry about a screen or a battery or a controller. Maybe you could have it so it could absorb a bit more power and go above that 15-watt TDP, maybe do 20, 25, 35. So it could be a bump above a Steam Deck. But that could be the low end. That could be the low end console.
100%. It's just sitting there, you know, the Steam Deck, was it £400? You know, take off the screen, take off the controllers, take out the battery. What? Okay, you're left there with something that could potentially cost £200, and that could sort of come out into the market and be an absolutely great offer. And, you know, for people that, you know, it could come, you know, with something like a Visa mount on the back, so you can just plug it into your stick it to your back of a 1080p monitor, and there you go. There's your gaming setup. Plug a mouse keyboard in it, and you know, you can play thousands of games. Away you go. I think it's a really great you know, proposition. And the other thing I was going to sort of mention is that people. We touched about it in the sort of the pre sort of topic chat, was all about compilation shading and all of things like this. And, you know, PC gaming in 2025, there are still things that if you're not fully clued in, things just don't work. Things do not work. And people want to do PC gaming, but they want to do it in a consoleized, easy to use, way, because you know, I'm playing, you know, I love playing Call of Duty. I'm playing loads of that, and I keep on getting a message comes up saying, "Oh, you haven't got TCM, TPM, something like that, version 2," and then you click on it, and then it says, "Oh, type in this," and it will tell you if you have got it, and it says, "I've got it. It's turned on," but I still get the message saying I haven't got it, and I've got into BIOS on my computer, and it says it's turned on. So there's something going wrong.
It's just so much static, isn't there, in that Windows environment gaming?
Exactly. And some games just like, no, we're just gonna not work. And there's a reason. You know, you can look on forums, you can work it out, you can ask people questions, you can get to the bottom of it. You can do something, you can edit something in a file, and then it'll work and it'll be seamless. But you've got to go through all these hoops to get your game working. So that's what actually, it still puts people off. So having this Steam Deck or Gabe Station or, you know, Steam 360 in a little box, put it on there, you know, next to the game says play, click play, away you go. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they did take the guts of the Steam Deck out, if they did allow it to be fed more power, you can go beyond that 15 watt TDP, because it doesn't need that because it's not worried about a battery. You probably could get, you know, AAA PS5 era games. You probably could get sort of 720p solid 30 frames a second, which for some people might be perfectly fine for £300. I think that's pretty damn good. That's cheaper than a PS5. And you know, you could what I said, that Steam OS environment is so perfectly optimized for gaming. You can run up against a bit of static. I mean, I think if you only ever just buy your games off Steam, and they're relatively modern games, probably the worst you'll encounter is a launcher. And so you might have to, like, I mean, you could just hold down, like if you're using an Xbox controller or a PS controller, you hold down the PS button or the Xbox button, use your right analog stick, and it becomes a mouse. So you just have to click the OK button, and then you go bang straight into the game. That's about as bad as it would get, really. But then there's people like, you know, me and you, and I've tweaked around with my Steam Decks and Steam OS so I could get those other stores on it. I've got like RetroArch on it with all the emulators. I play a lot of PS3 games through RPCS3. I mean, I would love the extra watts. Just those games that are just slightly below playable would get nudged up to being playable with that extra horsepower. So that'd be something I'd really appreciate. So, but yeah, if you want to, you can tinker around with all this stuff. You can go into the desktop, and you could edit a video and put it on, you know, go about your personal stuff that you like to do in what you might do in Windows or Mac OS. You can do all that. But yeah, it's just, I mean, I would absolutely buy in a heartbeat. I mean, I don't know what, I probably wouldn't go for if there was like the Steam Deck 3 tiers of model, I probably would go for the middle one. I don't think I'd probably go crazy and go for the top tier, but I'd probably go for the middle one. But yeah, I mean, my Steam Deck would become like basically when I want a handheld game, and then when I want to play on the TV, it will be on. You know, that's what I'll use on the TV. I won't bother docking my Steam Deck anymore. But the great thing is, like, I would love to be able to play some of those games, you know, at slightly higher fidelity. And I've got my PS5 that's plugged into my TV, but I have to buy the game again. Now, you know, with the Steam Deck, Steam console, all those games are already there, and I don't have to buy a version for a different platform. It's a no-brainer.
It's 100%, and I think the other, now I'm, you know, reading into this, that it's going to be a very portable console. And hopefully it's not the size of an Xbox, even a Series S. I don't want to see that. I want to see quite a small sort of little box. And you know, one of the things that you know, people go on holiday or go on business trips or go, you know, just might travel for one reason or another. They can actually take this with them, plug it into the hotel TV, and there they've got their gaming experience, as the same as they got it at home, and they can, get the controller out and then just carry on where they were, connect to the internet. They're good. They're absolutely great, good to go. And I think, imagine like all the students, they can, go away and just, have this and
for like LAN parties and I think.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Is turn up your your Steam box, and then all plug them all in, and before you know it, you're all playing 8-player, whatever, or 64-player, Counter-Strike, or
Team Fortress, or
exactly. I think there's so many sort of good things about it that people are looking for this sort of form factor. And I think in the past there used to be handhelds, consoles, desktops, and then laptops. But now you've got desktops, mini desktops. You've got laptops. You've got portable gaming. Steam Decks, things like the Steam Decks, the ROG Ally. Then you've got the consoles. Then you've got hybrid consoles such as the Switch, and they're thinking of so many different ways of so people can actually sort of play games in all of the different. And I think sort of the mini console to go under your TV is like the next big thing, because I know so many people who will actually, I've got a gaming PC. Yeah, it's plugged into my TV, but so they've got this form factor. No, they haven't got this form factor. They're doing it the same way, but they've got a massive, great big tower next to their TV, and then sit on the sofa. They play FIFA. They play, Call of Duty with a mouse or with a controller. They're sitting there raring to go.
Yeah, and I think it'd be interesting to see how that form factor does come out as. Like I said, I think like a PS TV style Steam Deck TV would be a good shout for the low end. Obviously, they can make that very small.
Yeah. I mean, if it's got to be bigger, it's not something that's gonna. I don't want it to be really small, and then the Pro one really overheats.
Well, I think how it would work is you could potentially, like the mid-range one, you could potentially take laptop hardware and you can cobble together, mobile GPUs are pretty powerful. You can get like a really powerful AMD GPU that was from a laptop and stick that in a box that was, fairly small, no bigger than like how big a PlayStation 1 is. And that could be about as powerful as a PS5. With laptop hardware. I mean, obviously, I don't know if they'll be able to get that price down. Obviously, those parts are a bit more pricey. But they could probably just save, the top of the range one probably would need to be a large box. But I think you could probably, at worst, maybe it'd be the size of the original sort of VHS player style Xbox One, which is still fine to stick under a TV. But you probably would need that size for a big beefy graphics card. But people would probably accept that if they're paying. Well, this one I paid £1,000. It's like better than a PS5 Pro. It's all right. That's still smaller than a giant tower unit. That you potentially would buy from overclockers or Scan, or one that you would build yourself in a big tower case. But yeah, I can't imagine them line even being any bigger than a original PS5, which is obviously a big old chunk of a thing. Or the original Xbox One, which was I think actually was smaller than the original PS5, weirdly, and we took the piss out of that for ages for being so big. But yeah, it would be interesting to see. But we could be completely way off the mark here. They might just bring out the one system, which will be that, I said, kind of equivalent of a GTX 4060. I kind of hope it'd be a little bit better than that. Maybe this is like a couple of years ago leak that we're seeing, and they've updated it since then. I hope so. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and I think it's probably going to be the next sort of system that I buy. I'm not sure it'll be a Switch 2. I think it'll be whatever Steam bring out. I mean, is there something that you think you would? I mean, you've got a pretty good setup with your gaming PC.
You know what?
For this.
Now I'm very pro it, but with my current setup, I couldn't see where it would sit, because I've completely abandoned my Xbox Series X that sits under the TV. I play it every now and again. So the thought of actually sitting and playing something on the TV, like, no, that's not really for me, except for maybe sort of the Switch 2. But I play that mainly in sort of handheld mode. And then all of my 90% of my gaming is on my gaming PC where I'm sitting now. And I like sort of coming out here. I like the mouse and keyboard controls. I've gone very against console gaming. And if you listen to really old episodes, I can't stand PC gaming for all the reasons that I now like PC gaming. So I don't, Stuart, in 2025, I don't think I've got a space in mind. But, when this gaming PC gets a little bit older and actually I can't run the latest games and things like that, I might go down the route of, this new sort of Steam box, and that could be the sort of the future. But I think I'll probably use it as a desktop computer.
Yeah, Bill, I guess it depends on how what sort of gaming you do on your PC. I mean, if your favourite games are multiplayer Call of Duty and FIFA, you're going to struggle with a Steam OS-based system because it can't run those games. You'll be able to dual boot. You could potentially fiddle around and get dual boot it, get Windows installed on the other partition, and then you can run those games. But is a casual, a sort of a prosumer level person going to be happy to do that? Probably not. I wouldn't really want to install Windows at all because it's a terrible operating system.
Part of me, I would like it if it came out with Windows, but I think in reality that system already exists. There are those little mini sort of computers that come out already, and people like random gaming in HD. He reviews loads of them, and I think that kind of already exists. But something that's a little bit more, gaming focused would be really good.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see what Steam come out with. Hopefully, it's not a red herring, and hopefully something will come of it. I think it will. I think it's inevitable that we're going to bring something to complement the Steam Deck. And like I said, I hope they'll have an entire Apple-like ecosystem of gaming PCs running on Steam OS. And this will be the next step. Probably won't be till next year. I don't think that we'll see anything, but it'll be very interesting. Hope they do have kind of a multiple system kind of offering, and it's not just the one thing. But we'll have to see. We'll see where we are in a year's time if anything does emerge. But Stu, where can you find us on the Tinternets?
Oh, we're everywhere. So search Console Shock, and you'll find our website. Search Console Shock on YouTube, you'll find our channel. Search Console Shock on Twitter, you'll find our tweets. And then you find us on Facebook as well. And then also any podcast client, you should be able to find Console Shock. If we're not on any of them and you want us to put them on there, give us a shout and we can get them on there. I know we're on sort of Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and what's the other one? Spotify. We're on Spotify as well.
Yeah, we are indeed. Well, hope you enjoyed listening to us ramble about Steam and its future. Hopefully you're going to get excited about where PC gaming is going as well. As always, take care, and we'll see you in the next one. See you later.
Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.